You're listening to Gen XP. Let's play some games.
Previously on the Shattered World of Voar, Theric and Avo decided to call for reinforcements before exploring the cave system at the top of the mist-shrouded island. Avo remained behind while Theric reported back to Captain Fairfax and the crew of the Lonely Horizon. The fairy wizard and the crew made the trek back up the mountainside, fending off panther attacks and avoiding ambush as much as possible. Once rejoined, the company made their way down into the belly of the island, discovering a strange blue glow. At the bottom of the cave network, they found a massive cavern housing an umbrelite crystal, the magical substance holding the islands aloft. Inside the chamber, a hive of odd insect creatures were eating away at the stone, threatening to dislodge the crystal. Blood running ice cold, the group realized that if that happens, their fate is sealed. Welcome back to the Shattered World of Voar.
Avo, you hear the whisper from Theric on the other side of the wall. We got to get out of here.
And I probably did say it loud.
Okay.
Louder than I meant to, because I'm just kind of shocked from the revelation of that. And I look at Lonnie and Nani and see how many buckets of goo they have.
Lonnie and Nani have managed to scoop two full buckets, and we're reaching for yours when one of them fumbles, trying to take it out of your grasp, and drops the bucket.
I say, just go.
And it hits the ground with a loud duh-duh-duh-duh-duh. At which point you hear, all of you hear, including in the antechamber, a loud, shrilling shriek.
You guys get going.
Come on!
And I usher Lonnie and Nani through the hole.
They grab their buckets and run back through the hole. You see the 5 patrol insects that were walking towards you scream and start to rush forward at alarming speeds on their very spindly pointed legs, their scythe-like blade arms slashing at the air as they rush towards you. You see Lonnie and Nani Avo come rushing back through the hole with buckets and immediately start running up the corkscrew.
Alright. I yell for everyone else to go, and then I'm... Theric, come on!
Ranford grabs Webb and says, I'll lead you, and then the two of them run up the corkscrew as well.
Okay.
I run through looking for, as I'm going though, before I go I look for something to grab to try and clog this hole, and if there's nothing, there's nothing, but I'm just taking a quick look around.
The only thing, there are no loose stones in this area. The only thing that was nearby was your bucket that fell to the ground and a pile of this strange orange goo.
Yeah, I'm not touching the goo.
Okay. And you think that the 5 that were rushing towards you, they were about 100 feet away when they started rushing, but you think that they're going to cover that probably twice as fast as a human would.
And
You're coming through the hole, though?
Yeah.
Okay, and you can fly. So at this point, I'm running up.
So Theric comes whipping through the hole,
Okay.
and you immediately start running up the corkscrew, Theric?
Well, I'm flying
Or
up the
flying up the
corkscrew now,
corkscrew.
but I'm making sure that I'm going to hold up the rear, but I also have to light my lantern, so I...
Okay, so as you're flying,
Well,
you just...
actually I don't have to crank it. It says cast light cantrip at will.
Right, the crank is actually more to
For
make the canary work.
Right, and I'm not pulling up
Okay.
the canary.
So as you... Okay. Do you light the lantern before you leave the chamber, or after you leave the chamber?
After, when it starts to get dim.
Okay, so as you rush out of the large cavern through the antechamber and begin flying up the corkscrew...
Because I can cast it at will, it doesn't matter. As soon as I have trouble seeing, I'll use it.
Sure. As soon as you start heading up the corkscrew, the little bit of blue light starts to fade, the lantern comes out, bathes all of you in orange, yellowish light, and you catch up to Ranford, Webb, Lonnie, and Nani as they're rushing up this corkscrew. Avo, are you following?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're running right along behind.
Yes.
You hear, coming quicker than you're moving, this clatter and skitter. You do hear them slow down slightly as they hit the antechamber, but they're through it quick enough. As you run up this, let's do a group athletics check to see how quickly you can move through this antechamber. Okay, so I'm going to roll once for the group, and then the 2 of you, and then we'll see what we get. So the group itself gets a 10. Go ahead and give me athletics checks.
I got 10.
Okay.
I got a 25.
Nice. Abo, I think that you at one point would have caught up to Theric and then kind of pushed him along. You're pushing the group along more than anything else. Your speed and athleticism is able to push your group further and further, but not fast enough. As you hear the clattering of chitinous legs as they skitter and rush up this tunnel behind you.
If I can hear them get close, then I'm going to turn.
Okay. You stop and turn?
Mm-hmm.
Theric, do you continue flying, or do you stay?
As soon as Avo stops and turns, I'll stop.
Okay. The two of you come to a halt, realizing you have to maintain that rear guard for the rest of the crew to get out. They're rushing up. Within the next few moments, they're going to get to the pit with the rope, but it's going to take them a few moments to get out of that. Avo, you turn, sword already in hand. I don't think it's been out. I think it's been out since you've been in the cave. You spin, sword in hand. The light stops because Theric also stopped. You know that your friend is right behind you. And a monstrosity comes rushing around the corner, clacking claws and scythe-like arms, and immediately shrieks in pain as it touches the light of the canary lantern. You see its skin, it's not its skin, its shell bubble as it pulls back, and you just hear this roaring, pain-filled insect screech as it pulls back and stays out of that light. And they are staying just around the corner of this corkscrew, just out of the light. You know that there's a group of them, and it sounds like behind them is filling up with even more.
Go.
You got the light, you can fly, alright. Trusting in that.
Okay.
I'll wait for the group to go up the rope, and then I'll follow behind them.
So you head up there. Are you following to the chamber with the panther, or are you staying in the corkscrew?
I'm staying right where I'm at the corkscrew, because only one of them can come at a time, I assume.
One of the 5-foot, the tall ones could only come up one at a time, probably. You saw smaller ones inside the chamber that were gnawing at the rock. You don't know what's down there.
If they come, but yeah, I'm just waiting.
I'm going to say about 30 seconds goes by. Everybody is climbing the rope as quickly as possible. In fact, let's we'll do another group athletics check with Avo in the group to make sure that rope climbing goes as quickly as possible. While that's happening, though, I think every second feels drawn out for you, Theric. And you can see every once in a while a different one of those creatures pops out and then immediately shrieks in pain. You can see its armor bubble a little bit as it steps back. And you're starting to hear more and more strange sounds. You're getting more and more of that presence on the other side of this slow curved tunnel that you're in. And you think, there's far more than 5. There's far more than 10. There might be hundreds in this tunnel waiting for you to let your guard down, waiting for the light to go away. And you can just hear there is no sound other than just a constant skittering and clicking noise.
I want to...
And a strong mildew smell.
I want to take my flask of oil.
Okay.
And as hard as I can, I'm going to throw it at that wall.
Trying to break it?
Yeah.
Okay, it's just a regular flask of oil?
Yep.
Okay, not a problem. You throw it and it shatters and you can see the liquid run down.
And as soon as that happens, I follow it with a fireball.
Okay. What'd you get on your athletics check?
16.
16. Okay. I think that knowing how Avo helps people, you manage to save Webb from slipping off the rope at one point. Like you see him start to slip, you just stick your hand under his foot. He gets a foot on your hand, gets a little bit of leverage, and manages to keep climbing. It's difficult for any of them to climb. They're each carrying a bucket. In the chamber with the cat skeleton, Avo, you assist the group in getting up as quick as possible, and then quickly start hand-over-handing up out of the pit. You are losing sight of the glow of Theric's lantern behind you. Are you continuing on?
Theric, come on!
Be there in a minute!
The oil shatters against the wall and starts to drip down, and a ball of fire appears in your hand, and then you light the fire.
Yeah, and I just wing it at that oil.
There is a quick whoosh and thump of concussion as the oil ignites in the tunnel, you hear high-pitched insectoid screeching from around the corner as that oil dribbles down, lighting them, some of the first ones on fire. And Avo, up further in the tunnel, you hear that a flame. What would Theric do once the flames are lit?
I'm gonna start going up the tunnel quickly now.
Okay.
With my light.
Give me a perception check.
6.
You can't hear anything other than shrieking insects. You hear the shrieking of insects, you hear the skittering of claws on stone and the crackling of fire. You hear both pain and angry growls from these things. And you fly into the pit chamber, fly up the rope. You're not using the rope, you're flying. The rope is still tied to the pitten. And when you hit the top of it, do you look back or do you just keep going?
When I hit the top of it, I stop and grab the rope.
Okay. It is securely tied to a pitten.
I'll look back before I do this.
So you get to the top of it, and when you look down, it resembles a pit filling with black liquid because there are hundreds of these things pouring in. Some of them still on fire. It doesn't seem to bother them as much as wanting to get after you. But they just start to fill in and scamper up the sides of the rock. They can move along a smooth rock face, it seems, as easily as you can fly.
I get going.
But they're just hundreds of these things swarming up out of the bottom of this pit. You fly along as the crew and Avo race to the top.
Right, I don't see anybody. These guys are out of... I don't see any of them.
They've raced further ahead.
Okay.
You were waiting for a bit, so they're
then
further
I'll get
ahead.
you.
And you're traveling at the same speed that they are for the most part. But unless you're waiting, could you just keep on running?
I'm continuing on. I know he can fly, so he's got a better...
Okay. A much shorter time passes than your journey in, because your journey out is filled with terror and the need for urgency. Webb leads the charge out of the caves.
Shocking.
And into the light of day. You hear the rush of the waterfall, and I think that Theric, as you're flying along, the cave did give you, or the pit with the cat gave you a small gap of distance, not a lot, but the fire did help a little bit as well. And you start to hear the rush of the waterfall. Avo, you and the crew burst out into sunlight, which is now kind of past the midday. It's starting to near the edge of the clearing. Like when you look up at the open sky, it is near the edge of the tree line, and you think you've got maybe 10 or 15 minutes of daylight left in this clearing.
Yeah, so if they won't come out in the light, we've got limited time there, and when they go back down and unfasten that crystal, we've got limited time there.
Seconds later, Theric comes buzzing out of the tunnel.
Go!
And you hear a roaring shriek coming out of the tunnel. Do you look back or do you run?
I'm going right by Avo. Get going!
Yeah, Theric just whips past you.
We ain't got time to stop!
I'm bringing up the rear, but yeah.
Would you look over your shoulder?
Yes.
You see the tunnel filled with insect creatures. There's no common body shape among them. They're not, you wouldn't even know that they were the same breed as far as you can tell. There's large ones, as I described, that travel on 4 legs but with an upper body almost man-like as far as shape goes, with arms that end in scythes. There's small ones no larger than a dog that seem to have 10 to 15 legs on each side of their body and long tails behind them. One looks like it has, that you can see has wings on its back and a almost snake-like appendage at its base with a long curved head that is covered in plates. This mass of creatures comes rushing towards the edge of the tunnel trying to get after you, and as they near the edge of the sunlight, the little bit of sunlight that you still have, they come to a grinding halt, shrieking and pulling back from the radiance. They don't retreat back into the tunnel, they just stay there in the shadow. You can see just this roiling mass of shapes in the darkness watching you.
We need to get the heck off this island.
You're the one that stayed and looked.
So
they were
There's
continuing.
yes, if you flew past Theric, Lonnie and Nani, Ranford and Webb are running at full tilt away from this cave back towards the path that led them here. Back into the forest, the dark pine forest.
Continuing on, bringing up the rear.
Okay.
But-
There's a limited time before they will be able to be out in the clearing. The sun was going to allow them some access very soon. So it's going to be DC 15 athletics checks. If there's anything you can do beyond athletics that can make people faster, that can encourage them, that can help them, anything that you can think of that you would rather add to this beyond athletics, if that is not your strong suit, just say so. It just has to make some sense.
I can go with the straight athletics.
Okay. All right. The crew gets a 16 on their first roll.
Is mine still a 15? Because I can fly and jump from limb to limb.
As a group, it's a group check. If you're not worried about the rest of the group, if you're only worried about yourself, then your DC will be much lower. But it won't contribute to the safety of the group either. And Abo, I would give you that option as well. You're more athletic, I imagine, than most of the crew. If you don't care about their safety, you can make your own checks.
Oh no, I'm definitely trying to assist.
Okay. So, and I'm going to say this is a deadly level skill challenge. Okay. What are you doing before your roll?
Well, I can't see what I rolled.
Okay.
I'm having a moral dilemma right here. Theric is gonna just try and get ahead and clear some panthers, so he's only out for himself.
Only out for himself.
Yep.
Okay. The DC for Theric is a 12, but it won't contribute towards the group. What'd you get?
16.
A 16. Okay. All right. Ava, what'd you get?
I failed my check. I got a 10.
A 10. Okay. All right. You run along. You start to hear in the trees the growling, the hiss, movement in the branches. You hear a flock of crows take to the air quickly in startlement. Go ahead and give me another check, each of you.
Can I get in front of everybody?
Oh, you're in front. You're in front. You're flying along in front in the path that you believe that they're going to take. But you've separated yourself slightly from the group, which might make you a target, and it might not. But it's you're moving at such speed now with your ability to fly and avoid obstacles that you are not guiding them so much as leading point.
I got a 16 this time.
Okay, Abo, you got a 16.
I'm going to stop
Okay.
and try and look around and see if I can see any panthers. And if I do, I want to throw a firebolt.
Okay, give me a perception check. 21. In fact, as you come to a stop, and I'm going to say this is a different way that you can contribute, is like you're actively hunting them. You fly up ahead in a direction you know the group is going to pass. You come to a stop, hovering in midair for a moment. Your eyes quickly scan around, checking branches, checking shadows, and high above, maybe 50 feet above the trail that you know your friends are about to pass any second now, there is a dark shape crouched in the branches with yellow lantern eyes. 50 feet.
I throw a firebolt at him. Actually, We're in a hurry. I'm not gonna worry about that. I throw 3 darts at it. And magic missiles appear, rainbow colored, and all are gonna hit.
So glowing darts of rainbow color swirl out through the branches and slam into this thing. Okay, go ahead and roll damage. I'm going to say that whatever your damage is its DC for a Constitution saving throw to maintain its hunting.
11.
11. It rolled an 11 on the die. So it growls as the darts slam into it. You see its eyes dart to you, but then it looks downwards, and you can tell that its prey must have arrived at its location, and you see it jump out of the tree down towards the rushing group of Avo, Lonnie, Nani, Ranford, and Webb. Let me see who he's going after. Okay. Avo, you're behind the group, trying to usher them forward, shepherding them. You see Lonnie and Nani are quick. They're quick little halflings. They're rushing through the forest, dodging around bushes, over branches, hopping roots. Ranford and Webb are running behind. Webb has his crossbow. He's looking over his shoulder a lot, both to make sure you're there, but also keeping an eye on what he thinks is chasing them. And Webb's just in front of him with his saber, keeping the halflings in sight. Out of the air from above, a black shape crashes down and slams into Ranford. Avo, Theric, you don't see this. The thing crashes down. There's trees and bushes between you and where it lands. You hear, Theric, you hear a cry of pain and a gurgle. Avo, you see this black panther come crashing down on Webb, and as it lands, I think in just the trauma and slow motion that you get when your adrenaline spikes, you see it slow motion almost as it crashes into Ranford, and its jaws close on his neck, and he disappears into the bushes with it. Just gone.
There's no way to... It's just...
You can go look for him, but Webb, Lonnie, and Nani keep on running. This thing hit Ranford so hard that it knocked him off the trail and into the bushes, and you hear it crashing through the bushes with him. But you only heard Ranford gurgle, and you don't hear him yelling at this point as he's in the bushes. Would you continue on, or would you stop?
I yell, keep going,
Okay.
But I tear off in that direction.
Theric, you hear Avo yell, keep going. Avo, give me a perception check as you run into the bushes, looking for Ranford and the panther.
Can I take an action as he's running in?
Yeah, it's not initiative.
Then I just point in his direction. Do I need to come back? Using message.
You hear Theric's
If
voice
he's within 120 feet.
in your head. Say it again.
Do I need to come back?
No, keep going.
Okay. What'd you get on your perception?
15.
15. It's about 10 feet off the trail. You find the panther fully bit into Ranford's neck, dragging his body. You see Ranford's face and his eyes are open.
I'm diving at this thing blade first.
Okay, give me. You can make an attack with it. So your rapier is darting in towards it.
Yes.
Okay. You heard no.
I'm gonna keep with the group.
I just like warn the ship if I can get that.
Okay. So Theric, you keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your wings buzz, and are you staying with Lonnie, Nani, and Webb, or are you going ahead again?
I want to try and scout.
You're gonna go scout again. Okay. So, Avo, you want to spend a fate token here, an inspiration token.
Yeah, because I rolled a 1.
Okay. So you stab at this creature. Your blade flashes in. You realize the importance of needing to hit here.
14.
Your blade digs into the side of this creature. Now it's already taken a little bit of damage. You can see scorch marks on its side. Go ahead and give me a damage roll. Theric, give me a... Are you scouting ahead to do the same thing again?
Yes.
Okay, so you fly out ahead. Go ahead and give me another perception check to see if you can find another one.
So,
Nat 20.
Okay.
Grace, guide my blade.
Okay.
I'm gonna cash in smite
Okay.
on this.
So a white glow at the tip of your rapier traces back to the hilt midair as it stabs into the creature.
14 points.
14 points. With that, it's going to roll. So it's actively holding its meal. Okay, which I quote unquote. It's holding what it feels it's going to be its meal. It's taken damage already from the magic missile. It's taken a good amount of damage as well from your thrust with your rapier. I'm going to let it make another saving throw combined damage, but I'm giving it advantage because it's holding what it wants right now. Not high enough, and as your blade digs into its haunches, it roars in pain, its mouth releases, and Ranford drops to the mossy earth below it, and it starts to run off into the woods. Do you let it go, or would you continue to try to attack it?
I let it go,
Okay.
and I instantly... I'm going to whisper a prayer, lay a hand on Ranford, and give him some healing.
Okay. I'm going to say that this was quick enough that there's a chance he's still alive, or at least close enough that you can save him. But I think that's a chance. The thing was actively chewing on him and pulling him, not chewing, but gripping his throat. So I'll tell you what. I'll let you make a choice. I want you to roll. It's going to be a DC 15. You can either do like medicine or religion.
I'll go with religion.
Okay. So if you can hit a DC 15 religion, you can save him before he bleeds out. I know you have magical healing, but there's still a limit on how much damage somebody can sustain.
Okay. Not gonna happen.
I'll make you a deal. I'll let you roll that again, as if you had one of these inspiration tokens, if you dump the rest of your spells. It would take all of your effort to do this. All of your connection to grace.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And with that, your hands lay on Ranford. You can see open artery on his neck, lifeblood gushing out. His eyes are open. He's fully unconscious, possibly gone from this realm. You don't believe that, though. You lay hands on him. You push every last bit of power provided to you by grace, of divinity, of healing, and the blood slows and then clots a bit, and with a ragged breath, Ranford comes back to life.
Grabbing his arm, putting it over my shoulder.
He's weak. He can't talk, but you pull him up and start staggering along with him. As you get Ranford back to his feet, higher up the mountain, over the rush of the waterfall, you hear a loud crowd shrieking enter the woods.
We're not out of this yet.
Theric, you got a nat 20 on perception. You see two options. You definitely find a panther waiting to pounce on your group as it's going to be traveling this way. You know that Lonnie, Nani, and Webb are only moments behind you. You see another way around these panthers, though, that you could fully avoid the fight if you wanted to, as long as you're willing to stay with the group for a moment.
That's fine.
Okay. It's going to put you in some danger.
That's fine.
Okay. But you'll avoid this one. Okay? So what I'm going to do...
fly back really quick and...
Okay.
Fly back really quick and say, we gotta go this way.
Okay, the group just got a nat 20 on their check as well, which is pretty impressive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark what you're doing as a success because you're choosing to be with them and guide them around a danger. And you continue rushing along. So you fly back, you meet them, you guide them around. Basically, there's a a short hill, a fallen tree, and you guide them around that area where the panther that you saw waiting to ambush was not going to be able to see you. And then down through a little gully and rushing as quickly as you can. The pine branches kind of beating at your bodies as you rush through the forest. Slightly farther up, Ranford is healed. He's alive. He's got how much hit point? How much did you heal him?
I was going for 5. You had me sync everything.
So no, you sacked all your spell slots,
Yes.
right? You can still heal him the amount. I'm just saying it took that much energy in order to heal him. So you healed him 5.
Yes.
Okay, so he's got 5 hit points. I'm gonna say his vocal cords are
Does your
still.
lay in hands, because you could have done 10, right?
Well, I could have done up to 10.
You can do as much as you want with lay on hands. I'm just saying it cost you all of your remaining spell slots to not have him be dead when you tried it.
Okay. But I would still have the lay on hands left.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5 is fine.
Okay. So he is. It takes him about a good 5 seconds after you pull him to his feet for his legs to start chugging along. He's running along with you. He's coughing a little bit. You can still see his throat is pretty torn up. Looks like he's going to have trouble talking, but he's alive and running, and he knows the danger. And being near you, he's lost his saber. His saber was gone somewhere in the dark. He's just running next to you. So you two are going to make your own check. So go ahead and make an athletics check with Ranford. And are you staying with Ranford?
Yes.
Okay.
I pulled his arm over my shoulder to begin with to
You did.
pull him along.
And at first he needed it, but after a few steps he was...
No, but I will stay right by his side.
Okay, what'd you get on athletics?
I got a 22.
22, okay. You run along the path trying to get Ranford and yourself out of the woods as somewhere behind you the woods begin to fill with a clicking, shrieking noise. That noise, you start to see, I think, further back. Theric, Nani, and Lonnie, and Webb, you break out of the tree line, rushing across the open ground towards the lonely horizon. Webb fully passes Lonnie and Nani at this point. Just a hard sprint towards the ship, and he's yelling as he runs towards the ship. Cast off! Cast off!
As soon as we break the tree line, I stop.
Okay. Lonnie and Nani continue running along. Webb is running along. And you come to a stop, spin back around, and you start to hear from far in the distance, again, that clicking, shrieking noise, like a wave rushing through the forest. Abo, give me a perception check.
14.
Okay. You start to see the black shapes of these panthers not necessarily hunting you, but just scrambling to get up trees and climb away from whatever's coming through the forest behind you. Let's do another athletics check to see how fast you and Ranford can make it to the ship.
15.
Okay. You think you're maybe 50 yards from the ship when Ranford stumbles and goes down on all fours. And he's coughing, and you hear him cough, "Leave me. Just go. Save yourself."
I almost lost you back there. Grace has plans for you yet.
Theric, through the trees, you can see the two shadows of your friends. You see one of them fall to the ground, and the other one stops to try to help them back. But that rushing sound is getting closer and closer, and you're starting to see the treetops in the distance shake. So you stop, Avo?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull him.
Okay. It is...
I'm going to make my way towards them with a light.
Okay, so you hold the canary lantern and dash towards them?
Yep.
Okay. I want all three of the people there, Ranford and the two of you, to make athletics checks. Theric, your athletics check is to get to them. Theirs is to try to get out of the woods. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Ranford is struggling. He's having trouble getting to his feet. His strength is spent.
Okay. I got an 18.
Okay.
trying to just like pull him up on me even.
You got an 18. The DC was 15 to succeed, but an 18 succeeds, passes it by a bit. I'm gonna say both of you are gonna. You haven't spent yours yet, but it's okay. You can have two. Each of you get an inspiration token, both for heroic movements. But what'd you get on your athletics?
I got 10.
A 10. You see Theric, an orb of light streaking towards you, but out of the shadows, a creature. I mentioned there's some that are about the size of a dog. This is maybe 2 or 3 feet long, 9 or 10 legs on each side, long whip-like tail, and a spike comes jumping out of the underbrush towards Ranford, who is clearly the injured creature, but it would be initiative. Theric is about 60 feet out.
Okay.
Well, we'll say Theric is 30 feet out at this point. You're 30 feet away, but it is initiative.
20.
Okay, you're going to use an inspiration
Mine
on
as well.
initiative. Okay,
I got 2 now. Yeah, that's much better. 23.
so 23, 20, Avo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Theric, you would go first. So you see this creature, it's like a slender body, hard shell in the top. It looks like there might be some softer part underneath it. Long, almost spider-like legs, and a long tail with a stinger.
I'm going to
on
bring
it.
the creature to the light, and I'm zipping the 30 feet.
Okay, it has jumped out and is like flying towards Ranford, but you fly straight into the small clearing that they've landed in with the light. Okay.
And as I'm doing that,
Okay.
I will rub my hands together to produce another firebolt and whip it at this creature that's jumping at the same time.
So you fly forward, holding the lantern in one hand. Your hands rub together. Lantern's on your belt.
On
You
my
fly
belt.
forward with the lantern on your belt, an orb of light bathing the forest around you. Your hands rub together. Fire forms. Go ahead.
And I whip a little bolt of fire.
Do you throw it before the creature's in the light or after you're there?
About the same time, probably.
Okay.
One action is because I'm moving and taking my action at the same time if possible.
Okay.
And because it's a one action cast, and I'm gonna hit a 21.
The fire slams into this thing, spreading along its carapace. It shrieks in pain both from the fire and the light of your lantern touching it. Go ahead and give me damage.
.4 points. Fire.
4 points of fire. Okay. It shrieks in pain. You can see several of its limbs kind of bat at its own body, trying to extinguish the flame, but also batting at the air with the light that you're emitting from the lantern, as that is seeming to burn and hurt it as well. You are now next to Avo. Avo, you're bathed in light as Theric arrives, and you can grab Ranford if you want, or this creature is here. What would you like to do?
The creature is
And you
shying away from or backing off from the light.
Yeah, it hasn't had a chance to react yet. It's all happening all at once, but it is in clear pain and distress from the light.
I am full on trying to get Ranford up.
Okay, if you want to do like a full fireman's carry, just grab Ranford,
yes.
throw him over your shoulder, and run. That'll be an athletics check.
12.
12. You managed to pick him up. You're doing more of a stagger. He's a big guy, and weighs quite a bit, and you're not running, but you are staggering along. You move about 30 feet to the edge of the light, but you're not getting much further than that based on this effort. The creature then will this insect-like creature. You can see this one has weird, strange mandibles in the front. It does spit a stream of strange, viscous orange liquid at you, Theric. Just, it's going to be, give me a dexterity saving throw.
Eight.
8.
That's what I was debating, but I'm gonna take the 8.
As this liquid, now you're hovering.
Yep.
As this liquid splashes against you, you take 6 points of acid damage, and it sticks to every part of you. Your torso and your left leg are fully covered in this, and you can tell as it drips down and then hardens that had you been standing on the ground, you would have probably been frozen in place. But your torso and leg are covered. You did take the 6 points of acid damage, but you know that...
Is this really sticky stuff now?
It's very sticky stuff now, yes.
Well, if we live through this, we're going to fix the ship with insect vomit. It's nice.
Back to... and you can hear the woods. You can see the trees are starting to move. Bushes are starting to rustle. Its entire hive is not far behind, but it's back to Theric, who is hovering, covered in this stinging bile.
I just moved back. Okay. I'm going to move back 30 feet to put him at the other edge of the lantern light, but make sure that he still is in it, since he didn't get very far.
Sure.
And then I am going to... I'm going to throw another fireball. So there, good.
Before you do that, you are covered in this extremely sticky substance and flying through parts of the forest. I'm going to ask you to make a... Let's call it your choice, either athletics or acrobatics, to navigate through the branches and bushes without getting close to one of them. Yeah, trying to, because it's not just skin tight; it's hanging off of you in tendrils, and if parts of that touch stuff, it might stick.
Right.
So, which would you rather make?
Acrobatics.
Okay.
19.
Yeah. So I think you are very aware of the extra weight and the trailing lines of this viscous substance that drag off of you. You manage to keep them clear of branches, bushes, and whatnot, and fly over to the far side of Avo, trying to help your friend stay in the light.
I'm going to change the spell I cast.
Okay.
Instead of another fireball, I'm going to point at that creature as I get away from it, and I'm going to cast Fairy Fire, and Fairy Fire is going to go in a 20-foot cube from him back.
Okay.
And anything in it has to make a dex save or be outlined.
You can't see them yet, but that creature begins to glow with a... What color light is it?
It's either blue, green, or violet.
It's your choice.
Or
is it all mixed?
It's mixed.
Okay.
It's going to be mixed.
This creature glows blue, okay, with little flames lick along it. It doesn't seem to bother it as much as your light actually did. This light doesn't seem to bother it. However, I think what chills you to the bone is in the woods behind it, you can't count how many things start to glow. It's the woods behind it are just lit in blue, green, and strange fire lights.
I'm almost out of the woods.
Avo, do you want to try to pick up speed?
Yes.
Give me another athletics check. I'm going to spend another...
No, you can't have mine.
Spend another inspiration token.
Spending another inspiration because I rolled another natural one. Yes.
Okay.
Much better. 20.
You burst out of the tree line into the fading sunlight of day, along with Theric. As you rush across the 50-yard gap between the tree line and the lonely horizon, you see the forest edge filled with glowing, flaming creatures lit by Theric's spell, and you know that there are hundreds of these creatures crouched in the tree line, staying just out of the sunlight as the two of you rush across the stony ground towards the lonely horizon, which is already starting to unfurl sails, and it's...
Fire the cannons! Fire the cannons!
Funny that you say that. As you rush across, you see that the cannons have already been rolled out on this side, and when you yell that, with a loud concussive thump and a blast of blue flame, you've seen this happen once before in Pendleton, but you realize these are not just normal cannons. These fire magical explosions. A loud thump and a glowing kind of fizzing ball of energy shoots over top of you into the area you just left and flattens a huge area of trees. You hear just the cracking of timber, trees falling, creatures shrieking as the ladder is thrown down, rope ladder is thrown down. When you get to the ship and the two of you along with Ranford are pulled onto the Lonely Horizon, which begins to, injured the ship is, limp off of the island. It hovers up, kind of, you feel it kind of dip a few times and then start to drift away. It's definitely not perfect flying condition, but you see Ranford, as he gets on the ship, he kind of collapses to the deck. Webb is manning one of the riggings, and he's like, "We gotta go! We gotta go!"
And as he's screaming, I say, "Just keep the island in sight for the night. We can go back tomorrow. There's water.
Captain Fairfax is...
If it's still there."
Captain Fairfax is at the helm. He's like, "What were those?"
I mean, I don't think I have... I know I have Arcana.
Give me an Arcana check. Do you have Arcana, Avo?
I do not.
Okay. I think in the moment, Theric was not thinking about what those were, but...
Well, that's why I didn't
right.
even ask, because I was like, I don't have a clue.
Right.
26.
You remember reading something in a book once, a long time ago in the Feywild, but it's something that you can't quite nail down right now. Even with the 26, this is such a rare creature that you're not quite sure. You have a clue, and if you knew that if you had some time and some place to study, you could probably figure this out, but in the moment, you are not sure.
Captain, I don't know, but they don't like light. So if we can keep that, I say, if the island's still there tomorrow.
He says, "Why wouldn't the island be there tomorrow?"
They're chewing the crystal free of the island.
You see Captain Fairfax goes just white.
I say, so we were leaving anyway, but if the island's still there tomorrow in the sunlight, we can get water at least.
He says, "Well, let's we can float through the night for sure." And he like kind of pats the ship a little bit. You see him pat the railing of the ship. He says, "We'll make it." And the Lonely Horizon, with many pained creaks and squeaks of its hull, rises 50, 60, 70 feet up and then just drifts slowly sideways away from the island as the dying light of the sun nears the horizon of the world. And we will end there for tonight.
Good place to stop.
And
I figured we were stopping, but I still,
you guys level up.
I still have this.
Sweet.
But I didn't. I was like, it's the first hit. I don't want to waste it,
Right.
just in case I get hit again. That's why I didn't roll the floor.
With as many times at the beginning.
This has been Gen XP. Thanks for listening. Catch you next week.